This is The Blockchain Show. The Blockchain Show is a podcast that demystifies cryptocurrencies and distributed ledger technology. This is episode number 66 of The Blockchain Show. With the second coming of Cryptogeddon seemingly come and gone, and the threat of HODLing growing in the darkness, our hero Mark has traveled the US and Canada to find an almost mythical locale in Seattle. Beer and Blockchain, a meetup full of welcome enthusiasm and refreshing news.
Last time we talked to you, you were going to a Beer and Blockchain. I think it was work that brought you to Seattle.
It was. So I work for a travel company at the moment, and that has taken me to places like Florida. Last week I attempted and managed to go to Toronto for a day in Canada, then flew to Seattle for 3 nights, then flew back to Toronto, and then flew back to the UK in about a 5-day window of time. Worked out that I'd spent about 24 hours on airplanes between those various cities in a 5-day period. But that was quite tiring, but it was a fun, interesting time with work. Whilst I was in Seattle for work, I noticed that every 2 weeks, I think, Seattle being a reasonably important city in blockchain innovation and development, the Seattle East Side, so kind of the Bellevue area of Seattle, if anyone knows it, have a regular daytime meeting, a meetup session on Meetup, if anyone wants to go and look at it, where they, I think, sit in somebody's offices and discuss the news and events and developments in and around the blockchain communities around the world.
Very cool.
And discuss how that affects their day jobs. I think they have a bunch of developers there. There were a bunch of execs from various tech organizations, some genuinely interested people and project managers and others who like the sound of blockchain and the associated technologies and businesses around it and would like to get involved with it. So that's the daytime meeting. And then an evening, so every 2 weeks, they meet up on a Wednesday night in a bar that serves good beer and good food. And they kind of discuss through what they talked about at the meetup, the daytime meetup. They relax and have a laugh at what's going on in and around crypto. And yeah, it's a more relaxed affair. But as I said, it was my privilege to be able to go there whilst I was working in the area, and want to say it's great to meet everybody there, and thank them for welcoming this British stranger into their midst to break bread and share beer with them, and have a good conversation and listen to what's going on in their area.
It sounds like it was made for you, that event. It sounds lovely.
Yeah, it was great. I wish I'd had the time to go to the daytime meetup as well, and maybe next time I'm in that area, which is possible, mm-hmm. I'll spend some time during the daytime going to that as well. And I must say, getting from Pike Place Market to Bellevue at 6 p.m. during rush hour is interesting, and quite an interesting journey. But I made it made it on time, and it was great to meet up with everybody. And Vlad, the guy who organises the events, he leads into those events with a bit of a around the world news and update, similar to something that Ian and I have done on the blockchain show once in a while. Go through kind of what's hot and what's not, what's moving and shaking in the world of blockchain. Less linked to, I guess, the ups and downs of cryptocurrencies and what what the markets are saying. A lot about the news and the technology and adoption of crypto. So yeah, that was interesting for me to kind of be on the receiving end of a news and events update, and maybe that'll help me improve my news and events updates going forward.
Yeah, it seems like there's a, I don't know what to call it. Something's changing, and
at the moment, that there is a lot more visibility of crypto and Bitcoin and blockchain and all of the associated cryptocurrencies. So it's as we said before, it's almost in the news every day now. Maybe a few months ago or a year ago, you might have heard something about Bitcoin once in a while, but you're hearing about it on a daily basis. Whether, for example, and these are some of the news events that Vlad told us on the time the day last week. Central Bank of Poland admitting that it is funding anti-cryptocurrency campaigns on YouTube.
Wow.
There's a government organisation, a central bank organisation in a country who is actively publishing bad things about cryptocurrency. So I guess the old adage, any news is good news, but maybe some of this they're trying to use social media and YouTube and other channels to discredit it, and that kind of, I'm sure that rings true with the libertarians and the crypto anarchists amongst us, that actually the man is eventually going to get wind of this and try and stick it to us, and we've got to keep going, keep on top of that, kind of keep pushing forward, because I think there is some genuine good use cases and forces for good that this technology and this community, I think, can do for the world, and to try and shake up some of those old empires.
I like that.
Yeah. So it was really good, and as I said, it was great to meet some like-minded people. There's a lot of people there, and people have opinions, right? There was a short conversation started, for example, about IOTA, the Tangle-based IoT related solution for crypto. I won't call it blockchain because it's not blockchain, and I'll get lots of IOTA people criticizing me. But there's a short conversation started about IOTA, and then pretty quickly a lot of blockchain-based people shouting it down and kind of calling it a scam and calling it a flash in the pan and not real. So it's, hey, it was a blockchain based meetup, so you're kind of maybe going to get some of that there. It's like going to a football game or something, you're going to get sides taken.
Exactly.
If you turn up with your blockchain shirt on and you see an IOTA fan on the other side of the room. But it was interesting to hear those opinions. And it was really good. I liked Vlad's style, and he was kind of bringing the news for people to converse with, and it was really, really funny for me, I guess. Vlad walking through kind of a range of news items, and he was clearly keen to get to the end of the list and get the news out there, and then we can kind of start the conversations and relax and have a beer and have something to eat. But everybody was so keen to dive into the conversation, dive into the particular topic and understand it, and get to know it a bit better. And again, that's great from my perspective. It shows that there's still a keenness, still an enthusiasm, and a growing enthusiasm, I think, for blockchain, from people young and old, men and women, black, white, or otherwise. There's a lot of growing community out there who definitely see the benefits and want to be involved with it.
Did they mention anything about the new Bitcoin ruling?
Yeah. The SEC, I think, they're calling out that exchanges should be very much regulated and audited, I guess. And I think that's caused a bit of a blip out there in the market, well, quite a lot of a blip in the market. I think yesterday or the day before was a great day to go and buy Bitcoin and Ether and a range of other cryptos. I guess being an old, long in the tooth guy who's been involved in crypto for just over a year now, we're starting to see patterns there. We saw, I think, yourself and Sarah had a episode maybe back in October of the show talking about China. Mm-hmm. Blocking the exchanges and enforce, restricting ICOs. That had a market effect, and the market dived quite a bit. And then, not 2 months later, we hit $10,000 and more, and $20,000 at one point. of Bitcoin. So there are market effects at play now, which I think you're going to see more and more of with cryptos, with Bitcoin, with this blockchain technology. That it's now in the public domain, and will start moving to those market effects the same way that other stocks and trades and securities and assets tend to do. An investment opportunity, you'll still make a little bit of money, I would have thought. Don't hold me to that. Don't expect any insurance policy with that statement. But still, an interesting enough market. If, like me, you're starting to put that to one side to see it as an interesting thing, and it's been a really easy way for someone like me to get involved with an asset, with a kind of stock like security or a market asset. I can kind of put that to one side now, and I'd still really, really want to see the use cases, the genuine benefits coming out that the technology can start delivering.
Yeah, that'll be nice, right? We're still in the dreamer mode, seems like, but it's coming.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, this is off the record, but we haven't gotten any Bitcoin donations since we changed the wallet to mine. So I'm wondering if we should just take that down. What do you think?
So I still think it would be fantastic for any of our listeners to send us a free beer or a pat on the back in their chosen electronic denomination, because it helps us get out there and get out and meet people and spread the word. I rocked up in Seattle with my blockchain show T-shirt. Nobody gave the secret word. Nobody gave the secret password. So I'm still holding on to the coins that I have to give out to people when they do say that secret password. And I will keep going out there and wearing my T-shirt at such events in the future, because I think actually the event itself was really good, and I'd like to go and see a few more of those more social blockchain gatherings, rather than maybe some of the more academic ones that I've been to already, or some of the industry ones. You'll see me out and about wearing my T-shirt with pride, that I'm a representative of the blockchain show, and probably a representative wider, blockchain movement.
Yeah.
I don't propose to be the Timothy Leary of blockchain, but I'd like to shout about it a bit more. It helps us do those kind of things, helps us get the word out to the people, and helps us share some of that on with our other listeners who are just getting into it themselves, who are where I was a year or two ago, and who will hear about blockchain more and wonder what it is and wonder what it means to them, and then we can help them learn that. I'd leave stuff up there, but we're not demanding. We're not pay-per-view channel, right? But
No.
I'd like to think we're maybe with a PBS of blockchain broadcasting. It's a public service announcement.
That's more like it. Only without the government funding. That's good. Yeah. So in the future, folks, say blockchain is the future to Mark, if you see him wearing his shirt.
Yes, say blockchain is the future to me, and as I said, either I'll give you some cryptocurrency of some flavor or other. I have a range of 10 or 12 currencies, I think, in my little portfolio, and I'm definitely willing to share some of that. May not be high value right now, but I'm definitely willing to share some of that. Or I will buy you a beverage of equivalent value.
Man, that's a good deal right there. I
can't say fairer than that.
You might have to show up to one of these events. Did you have any other news events that you found interesting?
Yes. So I'll run through the news. And I said in the news this week is brought to you by Vlad, my new friend in Seattle East Side. So I talked already about the Polish Central Bank and how they're going through some anti-crypto propaganda on YouTube. It's an interesting approach. We talked about Robinhood, who, for those who don't know, is a free stock trading firm. So you can go in and trade stocks and shares via Robinhood. They are adding support for fee-free crypto trading as well. I'm not quite sure which cryptocurrencies they're adding. I imagine it's the usual suspects, but they are pioneering, I guess, a cryptocurrency version of their stock trading app and solution. So that was an interesting one. I talked a little bit about IOTA, and the feelings were running strong about IOTA in Seattle. I can tell you that. Telegram. I don't know if people are aware of Telegram. It's I guess an app and a network provider providing notifications and communications and information out to people. And I think there was a little bit of controversy around Telegram or Gram holding an ICO. I think they held an ICO a while ago. They're now going through a second round of ICO, and it's kind of a little bit below the radar, so people are viewing it with some caution and suspicion, but that's going on at the moment. There was much laughing and derision, if I can call it that, around President Maduro of Venezuela. Let's say he's much maligned in Seattle circles about Maduro openly backing a new state-backed petrol-backed, oil-backed currency, the Petro. That's why I said petrol. An oil-backed currency called the Petro that they've recently launched. So he's backed it as a kind of Venezuelan national cryptocurrency backed by their oil reserves, and he's actively encouraging national banks to support it by mining it, using getting their resources and starting to mine this Petro coin. And I think the amusing thing was very shortly after, I guess within a week or so, the lawmakers in Venezuela have subsequently blocked this move. So there's a interesting tension between the president of the country and the legal mechanisms of the country, that they're trying to launch a cryptocurrency, but it's probably, I would say, maybe the wrong kind of cryptocurrency. Maybe they're launching it for the wrong reasons, and that's possibly why their lawmakers are blocking it, but one to watch with interest.
Wow, that sounds scary for some reason.
So another one. So back closer to home for you guys was talking about Wyoming, state of Wyoming.
Okay.
Wonderful state of Wyoming, and is pushing to become the crypto capital of the USA. And the state government is looking to push through a number of very cryptocurrency friendly bills aimed at making the state blockchain capital of the US. They introduced Senate Bill 111, which would exclude cryptocurrency from property taxation. So if you've got cryptocurrency, if you love cryptocurrency, maybe move to Wyoming. Further away from home, if we come back to Wyoming, a little further away is a little known country in the middle of the Pacific. I think it's about 4 hours flight to the, which depends which way around you're going. It's 4 hours away from Hawaii, but a country called the Marshall Islands. So it's kind of between Hawaii and Papua New Guinea, I guess, and Australia, that kind of way. They are issuing a state-controlled cryptocurrency, and this probably is the shape of things to come for maybe more smaller, more agile economies, because actually they've not got huge amounts of people. First of all, they want to be efficient in the way they run things. And maybe if they get it right, a cryptocurrency is the way to go for them, because they don't have to then have the mechanism for printing money, issuing money, inflating money, and all the good things that associate with fiat. Again, maybe that causes a bit of concern and nervousness around Marshall Island libertarians and crypto anarchists, but the Marshall Islands are looking to lead the way a little on their own state currency.
That reminds me of the island of Yap.
So I'm just going to go for our final section from my final takeaway from the meetup in Seattle last week, was that a lot of people round the table do have cryptocurrencies, have made probably a little profit over the past year or so, have got an increased valuation, I guess, of their cryptocurrencies, and that's starting to lead people to think, how am I affected in my fiat world tax? What's the IRS going to think of me? What's in the UK? What's the HMRC the Inland Revenue as was going to do about that. How are they going to probably how are they going to penalise me for being successful and getting ahead of the curve? So I think one of the question marks, one of the big asks from the Seattle Blockchain and Beer evening was if there are any tax accountants. And at the moment, I guess it doesn't matter so much which country you operate in, because we could take some basic rules and extrapolate them. But if you are a tax accountant in the US or maybe the UK, if you have worked in cryptocurrencies or are aware of cryptocurrencies and are starting to get to know what the rules and regulations and ins and outs are around dividends, around earnings on cryptocurrencies, I think the Seattle blockchain and beer guys would love for you to come onto the blockchain show and maybe give us a piece of what are the basics, what are the top 10 things we need to know to be tax effective, tax efficient, tax savvy, so that we maximize the potential and earnings and value of our cryptocurrencies, and we obviously contribute fairly back to the state that we live in. So yeah, any tax accountants out there who are really interested in crypto, we'd love to have you on the show. And so drop us a line at the usual address. Hope that kind of came across okay. And I will look forward to speaking to you all again soon.
You're a man of the world and my favorite guest to talk to. Well, I guess you're not a guest. You're the...
I'm almost part of the family, right?
Yeah.
I'm like your crazy step uncle or something like that.
That's it.
Are you looking for an easy way to buy Bitcoin or Ether on a safe, secure platform? Coinbase is the easiest place to buy and sell digital currencies. Sign up today as a friend of the Blockchain Show, and if you buy or sell $100 of Bitcoin or more, you'll earn $10 of free Bitcoin for yourself and $10 of Bitcoin to support this show. Join now using the link in this episode's show notes at theblockchainshow.com. To learn more, visit theblockchainshow.com.